Today we're going to learn another 10 common idioms, phrases, and sentences that native English speakers use every single day. These expressions are super useful, and I promise by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what these expressions mean and how to use them naturally in your own conversations. Here's how you can get the most out of this video. First, listen while reading the subtitles. This will help you catch every word and follow along more easily. Then, play the video again and try to repeat the sentences out loud, but this time without reading the subtitles. This will really help you improve your pronunciation, listening, and speaking skills. Don't forget to pause and write down any new expressions you like. That way, you can remember and review them later. This is a great way to boost your listening, reading, and speaking, all at the same time. This lesson is a fun and simple way to improve your English step by step. Before we dive in, if you're finding this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe. It helps a ton, and I really appreciate your support. All right, let's get started with our first expression. Number 1, I'm stuffed. Let's start with this slang expression. This doesn't mean you're like a teddy bear filled with cotton. When someone says, I'm stuffed, it means they're completely full of food. They've eaten so much that they can't eat another bite. It's like saying, I'm very full, but in a more casual, fun way. I remember last Thanksgiving when I was at my aunt's house. She made this incredible dinner with turkey, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, and 3 different kinds of pie. After finishing my second plate, I leaned back in my chair and said, "Oh my goodness, I'm stuffed." Everyone at the table laughed because they felt the same way. That's the perfect time to use this expression. You'll hear this all the time after big meals or when someone has been snacking a lot. For example, if you go to an all-you-can-eat restaurant with friends and you've had 3 plates of food, you might say, I can't eat anymore, I'm stuffed. Here's another one. Imagine you're at a pizza party and someone offers you another slice. You could say, no thanks, I'm already stuffed from the first 3 pieces. People often say this after holiday dinners too, like I'm so stuffed from mom's cooking, I need to take a nap. Have you ever felt so full after eating that you couldn't move? That's exactly when you'd use this expression. Let me know in the comments if you've ever been stuffed after a really good meal. Number 2, you're accident prone. Here's a really useful phrase. This phrase describes someone who seems to have accidents or get hurt more often than most people. It's not their fault necessarily, but they just seem to trip, bump into things, or have little mishaps more than others. Think of it like some people are just naturally clumsy or unlucky with small accidents. I have a friend named Sarah who is definitely accident-prone. Just last month, she was walking to work and somehow managed to trip over a completely flat sidewalk. Then later that same day, she bumped her head on a low-hanging branch, and by the evening she had somehow gotten her finger stuck in a jar. We all love Sarah, but we always joke that she's accident-prone because these little things happen to her all the time. This phrase is usually said with affection, not to be mean. For example, if your friend spills coffee on their shirt for the 3rd time this week, you might say, "Wow, you're really accident-prone lately." You might hear something like this. I shouldn't give him anything fragile to carry because he's pretty accident-prone. Let's take this one. Ever since she started that new medication, she's been more accident-prone than usual. Do you know someone who always seems to have little accidents? Have you ever felt accident-prone yourself? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. Number 3, that's not my thing. This slang expression is so common. It's a polite and casual way to say you're not interested in something or it's not something you enjoy doing. Instead of saying, I don't like that, which might sound a bit harsh, you can say, that's not my thing, and it sounds much more friendly and natural. My brother is really into extreme sports like bungee jumping, rock climbing, and skydiving. He's always trying to get me to join him, but honestly, I'm terrified of heights. So whenever he invites me to go skydiving with him, I just smile and say, thanks for thinking of me, but that's really not my thing. It's a nice way to say no without hurting his feelings or making him feel bad about his hobbies. You can use this for anything you're not interested in. For example, if someone invites you to a heavy metal concert but you prefer quiet music, you could say, heavy metal is just not my thing, but thanks for asking. People often say something like, I know you love hiking, but camping overnight is not really my thing. Here's another one you might hear. Cooking elaborate meals isn't my thing. I prefer simple food. What's something that's definitely not your thing? Maybe horror movies, spicy food, or dancing. Let me know in the comments what you would say is not your thing. Number 4. Who said that? This might seem like just a normal sentence, but who said that is actually used in so many different situations and with different meanings. Obviously, it can be a simple question when you literally want to know who spoke, but native speakers use it in other ways too. Sometimes it's used when you're surprised by something you heard, or when you want to challenge what someone said, or even when you're looking for the source of information. I was in a meeting at work last week when someone mentioned that our company was planning to move offices. Everyone got really excited or worried, and people started asking lots of questions. Finally, our manager had to ask, wait, who said that? Where did you hear about moving offices? It turned out to be just a rumor that someone had misunderstood, but that question helped clear everything up. The tone of your voice really matters with this expression. For example, if you hear some interesting news, you might ask curiously, really? Who said that? You might hear something like this. Who said that? I want to talk to them about their idea. Imagine this scenario. You're watching TV with family and someone makes a funny comment from another room. You might call out, who said that? That was hilarious. Have you ever been in a situation where you needed to know who said something important? This expression is perfect for those moments. Tell me in the comments about a time when you really needed to know who said something. Number 5, let it go. Here's a phrase that's become even more popular since that Disney movie, but let it go has been used by English speakers for a very long time. This phrase means to stop worrying about something, stop being angry about something, or stop trying to control a situation. It's like telling someone to release their stress or frustration and move on. My teenage daughter and her best friend had a big fight last month over something really silly. My daughter was so upset and kept talking about it every day, analyzing every detail of what happened. Finally, after a week of this, I sat down with her and said, Honey, I know you're hurt, but you need to let it go. Holding on to this anger is only hurting you, not her. Eventually, she did let it go, and now they're best friends again. This phrase is great advice for many situations in life. For example, if someone is stressed about a mistake they made at work last week, a friend might say, You apologized and fixed it, now you just need to let it go. People often say something like, I know he hurt your feelings, but for your own peace, you should let it go. Let's take this one. She's been holding on to that grudge for years. She really needs to let it go. Is there something in your life that you need to let go of? Maybe an old argument, a mistake you made, or a situation you can't change. This phrase reminds us that sometimes the best thing we can do is just let it go. Share in the comments if this phrase resonates with you. Number 6. That's a good sign. This expression is used constantly in everyday conversation. We say this when something happens that suggests things are going well or improving. It's a positive way to interpret events and give people hope or encouragement. Native speakers use this all the time to point out positive developments. My neighbor was really worried about her garden last spring. She had planted tomatoes for the first time, but for weeks, nothing was happening. The soil just looked empty, and she thought maybe the seeds were bad. Then one morning, she saw tiny green shoots starting to come up through the dirt. She was so excited and called over to me, "Look, little green things are growing." I smiled and said, "That's a good sign. Your tomatoes are going to be great this year." And they were amazing by summer. You can use this expression in so many situations. For example, if your friend is worried about a job interview and then the company calls to schedule a second interview, you could say, "They want to see you again." That's a good sign. You might hear something like this: "The doctor said my test results are looking better. That's a good sign." People often say, "He texted you back right away. That's definitely a good sign." Have you ever had a moment where you saw something that made you think, "That's a good sign"? Maybe when you were learning English and suddenly understood a whole conversation, or when you were nervous about something and then got good news. Let me know in the comments about your good signs. Number 7, out of the question. This idiom is really strong. It means absolutely not, impossible, or not even worth considering. When someone says something is out of the question, they're saying it will definitely not happen. It's a very firm way to say no to something. When I was 16, I really wanted to get a motorcycle. I thought they looked so cool and fun, and all my friends were talking about getting them too. I spent weeks planning how to bring this up to my parents. Finally, one evening at dinner, I casually mentioned, "So, I've been thinking about maybe getting a motorcycle for my birthday." My dad didn't even look up from his plate. He just said, "A motorcycle? That's completely out of the question." My mom nodded and added, "Absolutely out of the question until you're much older." That was the end of that conversation. This idiom is perfect when you want to be very clear that something won't happen. For example, if your friend suggests skipping work to go to the beach, you might say, "Missing work is out of the question. I just started this job." You might hear something like this: "Spending that much money on a vacation is out of the question right now." Imagine this: letting the kids stay up past midnight on a school night. That's out of the question. Have you ever had to tell someone that something was out of the question? Or has someone ever told you that something you wanted was out of the question? This idiom is very direct, so use it when you really mean it. Tell me in the comments about a time when something was completely out of the question. Number 8. This brings me back. This is a lovely phrase. People say this when something reminds them of the past, especially happy memories from earlier in their lives. It could be a song, a smell, a place, or even a taste that suddenly makes you remember being younger or a special time in your life. Last weekend, I was walking through my old neighborhood, and I passed by the elementary school I went to as a child. The playground looked exactly the same, and I could hear kids laughing and playing just like when I was little. I stopped for a moment and just smiled, thinking, "Wow, this really brings me back." I remembered playing on those same swings with my best friend, running around during recess, and feeling so excited about everything. It was such a warm, happy feeling. This phrase is perfect for those nostalgic moments we all have. For example, if you hear a song from your teenage years playing in a store, you might say to your friend, "Oh, this song brings me back to high school." People often say something like, "The smell of fresh cookies always brings me back to my grandmother's kitchen." Let's take this one. "Looking at these old photos really brings me back to our college days." What brings you back to happy memories? Maybe a certain food, a song, or a place you used to visit. I love hearing about what makes people feel nostalgic. Share in the comments what brings you back to good times in your past. Number 9, I've never felt this way before. This expression is so important in English. People use this when they're experiencing something completely new emotionally. It could be falling in love for the first time, feeling a new type of happiness, experiencing a different kind of sadness, or just having any emotion that feels totally new and different. My cousin called me a few months ago, and she sounded different on the phone. She had just started dating someone new, and she was telling me all about him. She kept giggling and seemed so happy, but also a little confused. Finally, she said, "I don't know how to explain it, but I've never felt this way before. Like, I've liked people before, but this feels completely different." She was experiencing that special feeling of falling deeply in love for the first time, and she didn't quite know how to put it into words. This sentence works for any powerful new emotion. For example, if someone moves to a new country and feels homesick in a way they never expected, they might say, "I've never felt this way before. It's like a piece of my heart is missing." You might hear something like this. "After becoming a parent," she said, "I've never felt this way before. This protective love is incredible." People often say, "Winning that award made me feel proud in a way I've never felt before." Have you ever had an experience where you thought, "I've never felt this way before"? Maybe when you accomplished something really difficult, or when you experienced a new culture, or even when you started learning English. Those moments of new feelings are so special. Let me know in the comments about a time when you felt something completely new. Number 10, don't fall for it. Our last phrase today is really practical. Don't fall for it. This means don't believe something that isn't true, don't be tricked by someone, or don't let someone take advantage of you. It's a warning that someone is trying to fool you or lie to you about something. My elderly aunt almost got scammed last year. Someone called her pretending to be from her bank, saying there was a problem with her account, and she needed to give them her personal information over the phone. Luckily, she called me first to ask what she should do. I immediately said, "Aunt Mary, don't fall for it. Real banks never call asking for that information. That person is trying to steal your money." She hung up on them right away, and we reported it to the police. This phrase is so useful for protecting yourself and warning others. For example, if someone is selling something that seems too good to be true, a friend might warn you, "That deal sounds fake, don't fall for it." You might hear something like this. "He's just saying nice things because he wants something from you, don't fall for it." People often say, "Those online ads promising quick money are scams, don't fall for it." Have you ever almost fallen for something that wasn't true? Or have you ever had to warn someone else not to fall for a trick or lie? This phrase could help protect you from people who aren't being honest. Share in the comments if you've ever had to tell someone, "Don't fall for it." Let's recap what we learned today. We covered 10 super useful expressions that native English speakers use all the time. We learned "I'm stuffed" when you're really full of food. "You're accident prone" for someone who has lots of little accidents. And "that's not my thing" as a polite way to say you're not interested in something. We also covered "who said that" as a way to find out the source of information. "Let it go," meaning to stop worrying about something, and that's a good sign for when things look positive. Then we learned out of the question for when something is absolutely not going to happen. This brings me back for when something reminds you of happy memories. And I've never felt this way before for new emotional experiences. Finally, we learned don't fall for it as a warning not to believe something that isn't true. These expressions will make your English sound so much more natural and native-like. Practice using them in your daily conversations, and don't be afraid to try them out. Remember, the best way to learn is by using these expressions in real situations. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more English lessons. I post new videos regularly with more idioms, phrases, and sentences that will help you speak English more confidently. Which of these 10 expressions was your favorite today? And which one do you think you'll use first in a real conversation? Let me know in the comments. I love reading your responses and hearing about your English learning journey. Thank you so much for watching and learning with me today. Keep practicing these expressions, be patient with yourself, and remember that every day you're getting better at English. Take care and keep practicing your English. I'll see you in the next video.